Hi, second video of the morning, evening, but actually for me, evening, according to the time scale that I'm working on right now. So, I've just shared this video, okay, and it's from The Last American Vagabond, and I must say, he does absolutely fantastic videos. He researches stuff. I really like him. I think he's like on the ball. And I've just watched a couple of his things, a few of his videos recently. And sometimes I just watch part of them because I'm usually just researching certain things or checking stuff out. But this video it's just so packed with really important information. Every bit of it. You need to watch it, you need to listen to it. It seems like a long time, an hour and 11 minutes, but I tell you, if you consider yourself a progressive in this world, that you're on the psychological consciousness evolutionary scale, then seriously, you need to keep updated and you need to keep connected to people like The Last American Vagabond, okay? Because he goes through stuff. And that's not to say that you should just listen to everything he says and just take it all for gospel. Always do your own research as well, because everybody's capable of making mistakes. You know, it's all about perspective, isn't it? And we all find out and we all learn from each other. And the thing like The Last American Vagabond, you know, he's a guy, if you contacted him and said, well, actually, this was wrong, he'd be there, he'd say, oh, thank you for telling me, okay, thank you for informing me. Because that's the way progressives are. That's the way to be progressive. That, you know, we don't pull each other up to be nasty to each other. Oh, you got this wrong, you were blah blah blah. It's like, no, actually I've discovered this. Oh right, yeah, thank you. That's the way it works. That's the way to be human, you know, because we need to pull our heads out of this inhumanity that we've been forced to live under for centuries. It's been going on for centuries that actually we've been made to feel crazy because we are human and we do, and our feelings, our way of being doesn't fit firmly into their divides, you know. Anyway, of course, I'm rambling about stuff, but it's all important stuff because at the same time that these are the most disturbing, distressing times, these are also the most amazing times, in the sense that we can turn this around. We can do it. We need to have faith and courage. We need to have faith in our humanity, faith in the universal intelligence that created us, faith in Jesus, you know, faith in the guidance of the prophets that warned us about, yeah, how bad things could get if we don't make the right choices, if we don't live by our true intelligence, and how good they can be if we do choose to live by our true intelligence. And that does mean getting human, okay? So, but of all the information that he shares in here, which is just really important stuff, the last section of it deals with the 9/11 evidence, World Trade Center explosives. And this is a huge story, right? Everybody's talking about Trump and whether or not he was connected to the Russians and the Mueller investigation, and we know that he was connected to the Russians, and we know that, oh well, you know, he ain't going to go to jail for it, is it? Let's face it. And he ain't going to be impeached probably for lying to American public, and actually it's all a gnat compared to his other crimes, like, for example, you know, his sex offences against how many women have come forward, which are far more serious reason, really, for impeaching him and actually bringing criminal charges against him. But, you know, like I say, we're living under Luciferian law, aren't we? Not for long, hopefully. But this is the story. The federal government responds to the Lawyers' Committee for 9/11 inquiry, takes steps to prosecute use of explosives to destroy the WTCs, the World Trade Centers. I mean, it's just... it's absolutely wow. It's wow. And, you know, he's asked us here to share this information, you know, to get it out and to talk about it, because obviously the mainstream media is not going to pick up on it. They're all too busy feeding off the distraction of Trump, and goodness knows what they're going to do when he's no longer president. You know, they'll have to get back to avoiding the news, won't they? Which is what they mostly do. But, oh my gosh, this is just amazing. It is amazing, because they've successfully submitted a petition to the federal government demanding that the US attorney present to a special grand jury extensive evidence of yet to be prosecuted federal crimes relating to the destruction of 3 World Trade Center towers on 9/11. World Trade Center 1, 2 and 7. After waiting for months for the reply, the US attorney responded in a letter noting that they will comply with the law. Wow. We will comply as they relate to your submissions, US Attorney Jeffrey Berman stated. I tell you, there is hope. There's hope on the horizon, a change of consciousness. But people are starting to wake up. Even the people on the top, they're starting to realise that, look, you can't put your faith in a load of criminal bankers. You know, you can't put your children, the future children of humanity, in their hands. Maybe people are waking up that, no, we've got to save our planet. And these people, they will profit till the very end. They literally are like a cancer. They really are. So, you know, somewhere, and the only thing that is going to sort everything out is the law. It is the law, by standing by the law. Because the law, in its purest form, is, you know, granted as a beneficence for life, for intelligent life, by the intelligence that created us, of this universe. There's no denying that. There's no escaping it. It's an inherent, intrinsic part of our human being. And that's why criminals have been crushing our human being, in order that they can create their own laws, which, as we know, the Luciferian law, just one law, isn't it? Might equals right to do as thou wilt. Oh, I'm bigger and stronger than you. I can do what I like to you. Well, actually, no, you can't. That's why, excuse me, people will come forward. A majority of people will come forward to protect the weak and the vulnerable from the individual who thinks they're going to exploit that vulnerable person, the bully. The bully. But we live in a world where basically the bully is God and he's the richest man on earth and he's created all these weapons. Well, it just so happens that the bully relies on all these underlings of subordinates in order to sustain his power. But these subordinates are starting to realise that actually, if we stay with this bully, we haven't actually got a future. And then there is what? And suppose the people who were talking about our eternal light being bodies and an eternal supreme being of consciousness, and we are going to have to give an account for ourselves. Okay, it's like, look, when it comes to a man's soul and the future of his children and her children, because don't forget, man is both male and female, then you're on dodgy ground, bankers. They're on dodgy ground, aren't they? And I can feel the momentum. It's a slow train coming, but it's coming. Zion train, and I'm not talking about these usurpers who call themselves Zionists. Okay, real Zionists, Rastafarian. Real Zionist, Rastafarian. And Rastafarian isn't a colour of a skin or really a faith. It is a way of life that actually fits true within every faith. That's the fact of it. You know, there's just no two ways about it. Every faith could welcome the Rastafarian. That's how it is. That's how it is. So, because the Rastafarian doesn't offend any faith, not the Judaic faith, it's totally kosher. It's not the Muslim faith, you know, they don't drink alcohol, not the Christian faith at all. No, they totally uphold what Jesus, not the Hindu faith, not any faith the Rasta could not offend, because they're so pure. It's such a pure faith. Now, I'm not saying that every Rastafarian is a pure person, because we're in that world where we're all polluted by the filth to one degree or another. But it's something to strive towards, isn't it? It's something to, you know, like, hope for our children that they could live and enjoy life in a world that is governed by that loving consciousness, which isn't a racial thing. It's not really a faith thing. It's a human thing. And within that, we can have our diversities, have our different faiths. You know, it's, what can I say? But this to me is a step forwards. This is such a huge step forwards, that if a nation is prepared, the authorities of that nation are prepared to uphold the law, that when it comes down to it, all right, the media and the government and the 9/11 Commission could ignore the laws of physics, okay, on the strength of a few words from a few scientists that it turns out were just feeding them a helpful pack of lies, something that they could at least cling to. You know, it's like, oh yeah, well, they've explained it. Oh yes, I can accept that. No, I'm not going to listen to you. I've got all these like reports done of these scientists. They're not lying. I don't need to actually look at it or notice it or dig any deeper, because I'm far too busy. Yeah, sorry. That it's easy then to brush people away and stand by this. But when you've got the lawyers, when you've got the scientists, when you've got the evidence, and it's there in black and white being presented on the tables by professionals who know what they're talking about when it comes to the law and valid evidence, yeah, suddenly things start to look really, really dodgy, don't they, for quite a lot of people. Because if explosives were used in the World Trade Centres, and let's face it, anybody who's even half looked into the evidence that is publicly available. Okay? Anybody who understands even the basic laws of physics. We already know those towers were brought down by explosives. It's too difficult to deny. It is like the world has been stood there admiring the emperor's clothes until actually somebody just gets two photographs and puts them together and says, look, there's a naked man and there's the emperor. Oh yeah, he's got no clothes. You know, that's how it is. That is how it is. But it's taken a professional, you know, it's actually taken a lawyer to say, no, legally, look, legally, that is a naked man. I know that he's saying it. He's had all these scientists saying how he's dressed, but look at, you know, you've got to accept the legal evidence. That is how it is, people. And so the people now, the Mueller thing, that's like nothing compared to this. Because if explosives, as we know they were, used in those World Trade Centres, then how did the explosives get there? How did they get there? Oh, it's going to be a very tricky situation, isn't it? How did they get there? Are they going to say that Osama bin Laden from his cave in Afghanistan had sent a squad of electricians and fuse detonator people and whatever to infiltrate the security systems of the World Trade Centres? We've even got the times when they did it. It's on record of the blooming trucks queuing up outside the World Trade Centres in the early hours of the morning. And then disappearing just as people were turning up for work. I mean, they even closed the towers down for 2 weeks, I think. Or was it? Or a few weekends, anyway. And people talking about loads of guys walking around with wires and stuff. I mean, come on. This was done from the inside. It was the Pearl Harbor event, wasn't it? And afterwards, oh yeah, we couldn't have imagined that anybody would fly a plane through a building as a terrorist attack. But of course they had imagined it already, as we know. Again, the lies time has told. Time has told. So you're faced with a force of tyranny. A force of tyranny. A force of tyranny that attacked America from within. And it had such powers over the media, over the Republican Party, who, let's face it, really illegally wangled Bush, them skull and bones man, into power, didn't they? The man who was going to sit there reading the children's story while the Pearl Harbor event took place. You know, what kind of powers then were controlling, have tentacles into the American military to be able to make sure that virtually every organisation was involved in a training exercise that particular day at that particular time. There's too many coincidences. You know, I mean, when you get gathering evidence for a crime and you're saying to the criminal, well, you were in the place at exactly the same time as this crime happened, and you did know the person, and you did have that same kind of murder weapon on you as it was used to kill the victim, and and we've got like multiple descriptions, witness descriptions of you, and the guy is just going to sit there and say, no, it's all a coincidence, it's just a coincidence, it's a coincidence, it's a coincidence. And then all his like top lawyers come and gather round him and, yeah, it was a coincidence, it was a coincidence. He's far too big to prosecute. You'll all lose your jobs. It's totally ridiculous. And it should have been investigated properly right from the start, but there you go, that's why the Bush was in the presidency, wasn't he? What was it he said? You can fool me once, you can fool me twice. Something ridiculous. I mean, you know, I do feel something, I do feel sad for the guy. You know, he's lost his dad, who he obviously loved, as he's a chip off the old block, as it were. I mean, who knows, maybe he will, even he will be able to find his humanity from somewhere in the garbage where he left it, in some deep pit somewhere. You know, let's hope that he can survive the trip down to get it. But this is very, 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 very serious information. This is serious information. I mean, just the fact that they have decided to take steps to prosecute that, then that means that the evidence is really strong. So people need to be prepared. People need to start thinking now about what really happened on that day, and thinking about how events of that day have manipulated people's consciousnesses, people's thoughts, people's opinion, people's perspective on the world, and even on their fellow citizens as Muslims. And what's happened to Muslims in Iraq, in Libya, in Afghanistan, in Syria, in Palestine. We do need to start thinking. Because, you know, it is obvious that explosives were used. It is a matter... Everybody knows that a plane crashing into one of those towers would not produce that. It's impossible. It was explosions. You can see the squibs. You can see them. So we are talking about a highly orchestrated attack from within. That's a serious matter. That is a serious matter. And both Republicans and Democrats are involved. There's a few politicians in America who dared to ask a question. A few. And they're the ones that Americans need to trust now. And personally, Ojeda and Ventura, I think they're the hope for America, for the next presidency. I'd really love to see Ojeda or Ventura as president, and either or the other as vice president. That would be such a fantastic day for America and the world. It really would. To witness that sane people, human people, with with the power that they deserve, with the power that they need, that we need. We need humans to be in power, not these psychopathic sadists, narcissists, fascists, because that was a sadistic act to be done if it was done as we lawfully suspect by internal powers that include American citizens. What kind of, who could do that? The horror of that day. And then go through with the horror of what they've been doing for how long? And even now, even to the extent that they've demonised Muslim people so much and conditioned the American mind to just casually accepting that, oh yeah, Muslims, yeah, they're dangerous, yeah, bomb them, oh look, Muslim children dying, Muslim children injured, Muslim children in bombed cities, oh, till event, you know, so it has a sort of wearing effect, so people just start to cut off from it. At first it was really shocking, and then suddenly it's like, oh yeah, it's normalised. They've normalised it to the extent, how long has America accepted, and even the people of Britain accepted this that's going on in the Yemen, the starving children. 3 years ago, I was stood outside the Saudi embassy with a small group of people. We were protesting about the Saudi. We were standing outside the Saudi embassy in London, protesting with mostly Yemeni people about their plans to start this war in the Yemen. And I just couldn't even imagine then. I mean, I couldn't imagine that it was going to be like this, and it was that it could be. We couldn't imagine the horror that we're witnessing. We knew it was going to be bad. Saudis bombing the Yemen war, it's bad, but we hoped that it wouldn't happen. We hoped that it wouldn't happen, but it did. It did, with the go ahead, the green light from Britain and the green light from America, and the green light from the Zionists controlling Israel. It's like, yeah, go. Here's your weapons. Give us the money. We'll give you the weapons. Oh, let us send some of our corporate armies to train and teach you how to use these weapons to kill people. It's this is like, who planted the bomb that's blown up half the world? Who planted the bomb that's killed how many? 1 million, 2 million? How many's been maimed and killed? How many children? How many's been orphaned? How many babies deformed? Children disabled? People made sick through depleted uranium. This is an enormous crime, and it's been outrageous for those who have been aware from the start. Because I tell you now, from the day I saw it, because I'd just come in from walking the dog, and I was told, oh, look what's happened. One tower had been hit. While I'm watching, oh, bang, another tower suddenly gets hit. And so It's like, and then I was looking at the footage that they showed of the plane hitting the building, and it was like, my eyes just said no. I remember saying to the person that I was living with, that I shared a house with at that time, I said, no, that can't happen. And it's like, what do you mean it can't happen? It happened. No, it can't happen. A plane wouldn't just go through the building like that. It was like a cartoon. It really was like a cartoon. And I was just like, my brain couldn't accept what my eyes were seeing. Because, you know, I know that if that plane had hit that building, bits of it would have fallen off. You'd have found luggage in the street. Yeah, there'd have been an explosion as it hit. But there's no way that it could have got through the building like that. It's just impossible. It's impossible. I knew that. When I saw the building crumble to bits like that, it was just like, oh my gosh. And I remember saying to a few people, and people said, oh, don't be daft. You know, it was gas explosions. Obviously, you know, it caused a firebomb in the lift, and they were coming out with all the crap. They started coming out with the crap and the arguments that went on. I remember. And then slowly, yeah, the more it comes out, then that video came out. I've forgotten the name of it now. But it was just, it was unacceptable. It was unacceptable, the conspiracy theory, the official conspiracy theory. And the more, as time has passed, the more evidence has come to light. And so there comes a point where, yeah, the judgment is made, isn't it? The judgment is made. And we realise that, yeah, sorry, no. You told us a pack of lies. You removed the evidence. You covered up the truth. Why? Who were you protecting? Surely you weren't protecting Osama bin Laden in his caves in Afghanistan. Who were you protecting? American Republican government. Who were you protecting? Democrats, when you came in and still failed to ask any questions. And as I say, that is why connecting with our true humanity and understanding the reality of our universal light being body as a fact, and actually as a scientifically proven fact, that is the key. That is the key. And thereafter, standing up for the rights of children, the rights of a child, not to be considered a minor human being. Okay. Oh, you know where the banker is right now as VIP and the billionaires? Actually, take them down, stick the child up there. The child's VIP. No government does anything. Oh, are you going to hurt the VIPs? Is it going to damage the VIPs? Oh, sorry, no, you can't have austerity. No, we need a really good healthcare system because of the VIPs. The parents, the grandparents all need good healthcare because, you know, the VIPs, they get very upset if they witness the parents suffering or the grandparents. You know, they love them, they need them. The VIPs need it. Future of humanity. Human beings. That's when the afterlife is actually in heaven. But of course we can all just do nothing and ignore it and choose not to believe in anything except death and fear and the death culture. The dark pack of lies. And yeah, life will be hell. Life is hell because people don't really believe in their universal self, eternal beings, because people don't believe in love, because money is more important. And I understand people's love for money. Anyway, this has just gone on too long now, so there you go. I'll leave you the link, and I'll leave you the link to Vagabond, the last American Vagabonds video as well. And yeah, check it out. Do watch this video, and thank you very much for taking time to listen. God bless to all.